Welcome to Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we explore chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy have more time to uncover the truth and venture into the unknown. Let's step into the shadows together, shall we?
Welcome back to Empty Nesters and True Crime. Today, we will talk about Beverly Carter, a real estate agent who disappeared without a trace during a routine showing in 2014. She headed out to show a house and never came back. What happened to her that fateful day? Let's dive into the shadows and peel back the layers of this chilling case. Susan, I'm excited to share this one with you today.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, and also I wanted to let you know, I think I shared it with you as well. One of our friends, Jennifer, shout out to Jennifer, shared some feedback with us from some podcasts that she listened to, and we really want to say thank you, and we encourage others to do the same. You know, she did point out we had some microphone issues, which we were aware of, so we're going to work on that going forward. But anyways, anything y'all have to share with us, we are very appreciative.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good and bad. Like I said, sometimes it's the bad that we probably need to hear, and we do, like I said, we will.
Don't tell me it's good if it's not good.
Exactly. And you know, we're all getting started, and we're having a lot of fun doing this, and we're so glad you're all on our journey. So
but we put in a lot of work. Last week's story, it was a lot of work. A lot of hours went into that. So I would rather have somebody give me feedback to make it better than just sugarcoat it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised, but I mean, it takes us at least 2 weeks each to write our stories. It's a lot of work, but it's fun, right?
It is fun.
Yeah. Oh, should we share what beverage we're having tonight?
Absolutely.
This is the double agent. Cheers.
Cheers.
So a double agent in real estate is when an agent is representing the buyer and the seller, which can be a little tricky, and they say they have to do a delicate dance. So Susan, that's why we have floating fish on our drinks today, because they're doing the delicate dance of the real estate agent. So cheers to all those hardworking real estate agents out there.
Absolutely. Cheers to them. I know a lot of them, and they work really hard.
Anything exciting happened this week?
Oh, goodness. Well, I get a 4-day weekend, which is...
Yay! I'm actually off to Wednesday, so I'm super excited.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you manage that?
I don't know, but I think we're going to take advantage of it and take a little getaway to the beach or something. Best part about North Carolina, got the beach one way, we got the mountains the other, right?
Absolutely.
Best of both worlds.
Yes. I know. Well, we're having you over tomorrow.
Super excited.
Yes, yep. That's going to be a good time. And my little one, who's not so little, she's 22, has decided to embark on a... we're kind of keeping it quiet, but she is exploring an avenue that I'm really excited about. So
oh, good.
I hope to keep everybody posted.
Oh, fun. I can't wait to hear. I don't even know y'all. It'll be a surprise with you. So, 50-year-old Beverly Carter was a shining star, a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and friend. Beverly was described as larger than life. They said when she walked into the room, everybody wanted to be her friend. Beverly was born December 20th, 1963 in Anniston, Alabama, but grew up in Texas. When she was 16, she was working at a burger place where she met her 19-year-old husband, Carl. In a few years, the young couple married and moved to Arkansas. They had 3 boys and then later come to have 5 grandchildren. They did move from one Arkansas town to another. Carl worked construction jobs, and Beverly stayed home with her 3 sons until the youngest started school. Actually, I kind of did that too, Susan. I was a stay-home mom until they were school age. Then she re-entered the work field where she had an office job. Unfortunately, though, she did lose her middle son in 2003 when he was killed in a car wreck. He was 19 at the time and left behind a baby girl. After so many years of hard times, little money, and tragedy, the Carters began to enjoy life and started to do very well for themselves financially. Beverly became interested in real estate profession. She worked hard and built a successful career for herself. Her face was in the paper every week. She had a billboard on one of the busiest interstates with her face on it. She was also the top-selling agent 2013 at her Little Rock real estate office where she had worked for 10 years. On September 25th, 2014, around 5:30 p.m., Beverly called Carl, her husband, to let him know that she had one last appointment and shared the address of the home. It was 1402 Old Riverdale in Scott. She was going to meet a married couple who told her they were planning to relocate to the area. She did tell the gentleman who called that she wanted to show the property to him and his wife at the same time. And she actually spoke to his wife on the phone. So she went to the showing, very comfortable and excited about the potential sale, as they claimed they would be paying cash. So it would mean a quick close and a quick payout. I would think that's what all real estate agents would want to hear, right?
Absolutely.
But
I wonder if that's a red flag.
Yeah. So when she was not home around 9 p.m., Carl, her husband, got nervous and headed over there to check on her. The property was not far from their home. He saw her Cadillac sports utility vehicle in the driveway. He went into the house, which was left unlocked, to look for her, but unfortunately, he did not find her. He called his son, Carl Jr., who suggested they go over to the office to check if she was there, thinking maybe she stopped at the office before heading home.
I just want to know, this lady's got a Cadillac.
Well, real estate agents, like to look like they have a lot of money, so that is actually not anything unusual. I don't know when you were looking at houses what you were drove around, and we had some fancy vehicles.
Well, Della she had a Lexus last week, and this lady has a Cadillac. I'm driving around in a Nissan Sentra. It's a 2019.
I love it. Yeah.
I love my little car. I do. It was my first brand new car since 1988. I love it. I'm not complaining, but
I didn't know that, Susan.
I'm just saying.
Just saying. Yeah, they all have very fancy cars. So Carla reached out to her two coworkers, Brenda and Stacy, who were also close friends. They went to check the other two listings that she had to see if, she happened to maybe drive by to show the couples those houses as well. But both of those houses were vacant and had lock boxes. And the ladies checked the lock boxes and can see they were not accessed. When they still were unable to locate her, they called the police to file a missing report. The police did immediately come out and tape off the house and labeled it as a crime scene. Around 1 a.m., while still at the property, Carl got 3 texts from Beverly. Her friends Brenda and Stacy also got separate texts at the same time, telling them, sorry, my phone died, but just got it back on. And she was out having drinks with friends. Brenda used the safety code red folder. This was a code word they came up with to tell each other if they were in danger. So they sent her a text something like, hey, did you leave the red folder on the desk? But she got no response. They knew all of these random text messages and her not answering the code word were that somebody had her phone. I mean, we all know how our friends text. Susan, if my texts don't contain a lot of misspelled words or things that don't make sense because I voice type half the time, girl, that's not from me. You kind of got to...
Absolutely. I'm the same way. My lead massage therapist, we always joke because she's because I'll voice record and it'll have it say something totally different. And she's like, I'm to the point that I can decipher what this is.
You're like me. When I voice up, I just hit send. So anyways, they can tell that these messages aren't from her, And I love the code word, by the way, that red folder. So that's something they, if they're unsure, they could text somebody, and if they answer back, then they know if they're in danger.
Well,
so that was
absolutely.
kind of neat. Yeah. But
we went out Saturday, and we were in Chapel Hill. And I think we told you we stopped at, I can't remember the name of the place. It doesn't matter anyway. But when I went to the restroom, there was a sign. Because I thought it was really cool in the bathroom. There was a sign and it said, and we post this on our social media. It says, hi, I'm Agnes. Are you on a date? It isn't working out? Is your Tinder or PDF date, whatever that means, not who they say they were? on the phone? Do you feel like you're in a situation? Does it feel a bit weird? You just go to the bar and ask for Agnes, and they will call the police and take care of the situation.
Love it. Code words right there for helping women out or anybody in a bad situation.
I think it should be like across the country.
That's really neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's definitely post that. Maybe give ideas that people can, put out other places.
Yeah. So Agnes, and I think other places have other code words.
Yeah, I think that's great. Especially, I think that what the real estate agents are showing by themselves, and so when the police got to the house, they noticed that her purse and wallet were still in the front passenger seat of the car. Inside the house, they didn't find any signs of potential foul play, but they did notice something strange outside. Tire tracks in the grass leading up to the door. A neighbor across the street told the police that they saw a black vehicle pull into the driveway. About 30 minutes later, they looked out again and saw a thin man with short hair hanging around near the house. This man made the police suspect that something suspicious might have happened involving this individual in connection with Beverly's disappearance. The police officer discovered a crucial piece of evidence in the back of Beverly's car. She had a notebook, which included a listing for the house she was showing. Attached to the listing she was showing were contact details providing names, an email address, and a phone number. The names were Steve and Crystal Lewis. Now they would have to investigate to see who this couple was. But the detective also had the eye on another potential suspect. Can you guess? The husband. The husband. We always suspect the husband. But we're going to circle back to that one. As dawn broke the next day, Beverly Carter was still missing. Her family, friends, and co-workers were relentless in their search, plastering the area with flyers, and hundreds of people joined the search, including realtors from across the state. The incident struck a chord with many in the real estate community as Beverly had disappeared working on the job. And like we were talking about, I'm sure that's always in the back of their minds. There's increase in crime targeting real estate agents, involving violent attacks and even homicides, unfortunately, and already put the community on edge. Definitely a heightened anxiety for this profession.
Absolutely. The pocketbook being left behind right there. If my pocketbook is left behind, something has happened to me.
And remember, she's supposedly out with friends having a drink. But
yeah, no.
So the search for Beverly had crowds pouring in to help find her. Carl made a heartfelt plea on television. He sounded heartbroken, but suspicion still lingered. Some doubted the sincerity of his distress, speculating that he might have been involved in her disappearance. Perhaps the theory that he even hired someone came up. Questions arose regarding Carl's actions, with some asking why he entered the house, because doing this potentially contaminated the crime scene with his fingerprints. His DNA was all over the house now. Susan, you get to the house, you're going in too. I mean, nobody's at that moment even thinks it's a crime scene. So that kind of...
I'm going in.
Yeah, right? But, that was another thing, because now his fingerprints all over. And, why did he go in and why did he didn't call the cops first? Well, he's looking for her. He doesn't realize she's missing it. When he first got there, remember?
Anything could have happened to her. She could have had a heart attack. Could have been anything.
But yeah, of course you're going in. It hasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So, doubts lingered with people scrutinizing his every move. He was brought in for questionings, and of course their financial struggles surfaced as a concern. But, everybody's had financial struggles probably in their past. But the detective uncovered another troubling issue. When interviewed, Carl was extremely honest and admitted to having an affair. However, what he revealed next was even more difficult to process. He was about to reveal some brutally honest details, challenging the interviewer's ability to remain impartial. He admitted to getting violent with her once and even hit her when she was trying to stop him from drinking and driving, but says all that happened many years ago, and Beverly had already forgiven him. They found out that they took out a $100,000 life insurance policy recently. So this information looks really bad against Carl. And so Detective Allison, he was the one working on the case, wasn't ready to rule Carl out as a suspect yet. So, I get it. Gives him a motive, life insurance policy. There was an abusive past, but I I can tell you he seemed like a very loving husband. But there was still more groundwork to cover. The identities of the prospective buyers remained a mystery, as email addresses and phone numbers found in Beverly's notebook turned out to be a fake. Surprise, surprise. But they were finally able to uncover the real names by tracing back the fake phone number used through a texting app. Now we have 34-year-old Aaron Lewis and his wife, 41-year-old Crystal Lowry. Aaron was a truck driver with multiple crime charges in different states. September 28th, the police swiftly placed the couple's house under surveillance, recognizing the delicate nature of the operation, as they didn't want to act too soon and scare off the couple. Despite the urgency of the situation, the detectives maintained hopeful that Beverly was still alive. Detective Allison, however, remained cautious and wasn't immediately certain the couple's involvement, because, they hadn't seen him yet at this point. So his first priority was to confirm Aaron Lewis's appearance, as, remember, the eyewitness described him as a skinny white man with short brown hair. During surveillance, they didn't have to wait long before a man fitting that exact description emerged from the house. Despite their suspicions, the detective refrained from approaching him immediately, opting to gather more information before acting. They were hoping Aaron would get into the car and lead them to where Beverly was being held. It became apparent that their surveillance was compromised when Lewis spotted them. This unexpected turn of events threw a wrench into their plans. As Lewis realized he was being followed, he attempted to evade the detectives by speeding off. However, his reckless maneuver led to a dramatic crash as he attempted to navigate a 90-degree turn, nearly ejecting himself from the vehicle in the process. Upon reaching the scene, the detectives found Aaron injured pretty badly, so they rushed him to the hospital for treatment. While waiting for medical care, the detectives had to remain outside as they were not allowed in the room. So, when somebody is taken back, the cops cannot be back there with them. However, Aaron took advantage of this situation and decided to escape the hospital before completing his treatment, so kind of snuck out. But, I'm thinking I wonder if that happens more than we think, right? If the cops have to be out in the waiting room and they're back there by themselves.
I would think they would allow a police officer to just stand by the door.
Maybe outside the door, but they said they were made to stay in the waiting area. So he leaves the hospital. So this prompts a citywide manhunt, with the police immediately releasing his photo to the news media in a race against time to locate him and hopefully rescue Beverly. This was such a big event in Scotts, Arkansas. So news stations immediately interrupted the regular program with breaking news, updates regarding the unfolding situation. As detail emerged about the citywide manhunt for Aaron Lewis, viewers were kept informed in real time, reflecting the urgency of the situation and the race against time to find Beverly and bring her to safety. So two men, Ben Boyett and Conan Waters, who were managers at a mortgage company who actually knew Beverly from real estate dealings, found themselves drawn into the case and were discussing it in the office when they were shocked to see Aaron Lewis walking right past the window. Reacting quickly, come on, what are the odds, right? They called 911, alerting authorities to Aaron's location. Conan went outside to confront and make sure it was actually Aaron. Aaron seemed initially weary, but Conan engaged him in conversation about bus routes and schedules, eventually putting him at ease. So convinced that it was Aaron, Conan, without a shred of doubt, knew it was him, so then he notified authorities, and they were on their way. So then Ben and Conan spotted Aaron entering a Subway sandwich shop, where he was caught on security camera, so they were able to verify it, but
he was hungry.
He was hungry after that, escaping the hospital. But also what happened now is other people recognized him, and they started yelling out, which caused him to panic and flee. He ran across the street towards an apartment complex with about 5 people chasing him. So now when police arrive on the scene, they finally get there. But before they can catch him, Aaron makes it up into the 2nd floor of an apartment complex and proceeds to jump off a balcony. Remember, Aaron was just in the car accident, and now he jumps off a balcony. But at least now police are able to arrest him and bring him in for questioning. So I'm thinking he's in pretty rough shape at this point, physically. But so during the questioning, Aaron admits to kidnapping Beverly. He had Googled Beverly and targeted her because she was a married real estate broker who he assumed had a lot of money. He wanted them to be able to be married, or he wanted them to be married so he would be able to get some ransom. He'd have somebody he can call. You have somebody's wife, you're hoping the husband is going to pay your demands. Well,
what would our husbands do?
They better pay the demands, Susan.
They'd be like, keep her.
Yeah.
You can have her.
Keep her overnight, you'll be giving her back the next day, right?
Keep her forever.
Yeah, especially me. Everybody knows I talk a lot, so they'd be maybe not even making it through the night, right? But that's all right. So, though he did admit to duct taping her hands and mouth before putting her in the trunk, and said the motive was for a $100,000 ransom. He did tell police he was alone when he arrived at the showing. He said Beverly showed him the first floor, then they proceeded up to the second. Aaron now re-encountered the chilling moment when he pulled a taser and turned to Beverly and said, quote, "You're about to have a bad day," and confirmed his intentions. The thought of Beverly in that situation, feeling trapped and vulnerable, is kind of haunting and difficult to shake. Imagine somebody pulling a taser and now you know what's about to happen. So Aaron claimed to have an accomplice in the kidnapping, and he did not name his wife, but he named a man named Trevor. He claimed that he was the one responsible for this whole thing and that anything that happens to Beverly was because of Trevor. Trevor was actually someone Aaron had lived with briefly, so like an old roommate. Aaron claims the last time he saw Beverly alive, it was with Trevor. Aaron produces a voice recording from his cell phone. It was a ransom message he had recorded, and it was Beverly's voice. Now the next thing the police must do is find where Beverly is. Aaron agrees at this point to take the police to find her. So they go to the first place. He said he took her, and it was like an abandoned house. And I believe the other one was like a shed. But the police know right away that they're all lies. She wasn't at the first place or she wasn't at the second place and had never been to either of them. It was like Aaron was just playing games with the cops and sending them on a wild goose chase. They also quickly learned that Trevor was in the military, stationed at Little Rock Air Force Base. The police made contact with Trevor. However, his whereabouts were confirmed through his job at the Air Force Base by the officials' special investigation, providing he was on base that day. So Aaron's story unraveled further, and now it's clear that, he's just making up lies. And
because Trevor didn't have nothing to do with it.
Yep, there's no Trevor involved in this. He just made somebody up. Again, he just keeps lying. So of course the authorities are frustrated at this point.
I'm frustrated too because I want to know if the husband was in on it. Keep going, Nancy. Keep going.
They now learn that Aaron had worked at a cement plant called Argos. They directly asked him if Beverly was at Argos. So it said that Aaron, who had been looking down at the table, then looked up with that, what they described, stupid look on his face. And at that moment, they knew where they were about to find her. Shortly after they arrived, an officer made a grim discovery, an elbow protruding from a shallow grave. It, unfortunately, was Beverly. So Aaron Lewis was charged with murder and kidnapping, while his wife, Crystal Lowerly, was charged as his accomplice to murder, both pleading not guilty. But when Aaron came out of court after they received the charges, a reporter asked him, "Why Beverly?" And he responded in a chilling tone, "She's a rich broker." That doesn't sound like an innocent person to me.
Mm-mm.
Well, the reason I say that is because Aaron changes his statement, Susan. So now he makes up these crazy stories. He claims he and his wife met Beverly on Craigslist and arranged for the three of them to have a sexual encounter. He claims this was actually the reason she was meeting him at the house. But his story will change twice here. First claims he hooked up with Beverly. Then he claims Crystal hooked up with Beverly and that when she died, it was during suffocation due to result of one of her sexual encounters with Crystal. And he says at that time he had left the house, so he, of course, is saying he wasn't there. He's always trying not to put himself, at the scene. So now he's saying, he didn't kill her, but it was an accident. He blames Crystal and said she said not to call the police. They claim they panicked and decided to bury the body, claiming he put duct tape on her mouth so bugs wouldn't get into it when they were burying her. What a nice guy, right? Oh, we don't want bugs to get in her mouth while we're burying her. Crazy. He says he initially confessed to protect Crystal. But remember, Aaron had that voice recording of Beverly that he played for the cops on his phone, which contradicted everything. Because why would he have a recording of Beverly asking for a ransom if it was all a sexual act? Which kind of makes you mad that he made this whole story up. But they make a deal with Crystal, and she agrees to tell all the gruesome details, testifying against her husband and pleading guilty.
And she should.
Yeah.
He threw her under the bus. I just want to tase him until he tells the truth.
Right. So she does agree to testify against her husband and plead guilty to murder and kidnapping. In exchange, they will reduce her sentence. So the trial starts in January 2016 at the Pulaski County Courthouse in Little Rock. Crystal's story is that it was Lewis who came up with the kidnapping scheme, and it was all about money, which, with the ransom, it definitely makes that statement true. So Crystal testifies that she met Aaron through Craigslist. She said they were broke up at the time, but Aaron was living with her because he didn't have money to move out. Crystal said she did not want to get involved, but did agree to speak to Beverly on the phone. She was attending nursing school when Aaron abducted Beverly. She received a text from him with a picture of Beverly bound in the trunk of his car, with the caption was something like, "Hey, look at this." She didn't want Aaron to bring Beverly back to the house, but he said he had to because he couldn't risk driving around and getting pulled over. So he brings her back to the house, and then when Crystal got back to the house, she found that he had her locked into their bathroom. So Aaron's plan shows its flaws when he realized that Beverly didn't have any money on her. Remember, her purse is still at the showing house with her ATM card in it. So he proceeds back to the property to get that. But when he, and Crystal was outside of the bathroom door watching over Beverly, holding that stun gun. But he found the area swarming with police and already closed off as a crime scene. Actually, an officer even stopped him briefly to ask if he'd seen anything suspicious. He was pulled over on the way to the house. And at this point, Beverly was still alive. So it's too bad. I know, they would have no idea it was him, right? But
yeah,
that's one of those things you hear and you're like, oh no, that they would, somehow would have gotten him. But how would you? I mean, he's just somebody driving by.
Well, so, Crystal could have stopped the whole thing and saved Beverly.
Right. Because, she's trying to make herself look like, oh, I wasn't really involved. I agreed to speak. I'm just going, just going along with it.
You're involved, Crystal.
And I'll read you some messages later that will change how we think about. She's not an innocent person. I'm just going to say that right now. But anyways, so upon returning home, the couple realized they were out of options. Beverly, who had been locked in the bathroom, had seen Crystal's medication, which means she knows her name. And of course, she's already seen Aaron's face. They also realized that Beverly did not have any money. They thought, like the money they thought she did. She was not a rich real estate broker at this point in her life. And I guess that's normal for realtors to have like a lot of money in the bank one week, and then next week, maybe not so much money. I guess depending, what they sell that week. But they said that's actually very normal. So.
And they probably have different bank accounts and.
Yeah. But they discovered, she didn't have the money for the ransom. So Aaron then transported Beverly to the cement plant where he allegedly wrapped her face in duct tape and choked her. He left the body there, went home to get Crystal, and they went to Walmart. So this is on September 27th at 2:30. So Aaron is on surveillance camera buying topsoil and a shovel while Crystal waited in the car. They went back to the scene where he left the body, and Crystal, he left the body there. So now they bury the body while Crystal holds a flashlight. Then what do they do, Susan? They go to Waffle House. WTF? We bury a body, we're going to go to the Waffle House.
They were hungry.
He's always hungry. But you always say the people you find at Waffle House. He went to
Subway. He went to Waffle House. He's a hungry dude for the fast food chains.
Yeah. So now when the defense in the court, their cases, they try to smear Beverly. During the trial, they pointed out that she was going through a midlife crisis. She was depressed, making this the reason for her recent cosmetic surgery. Not sure what that has to do with it, but pointing out the new Cadillac, which you pointed out that she recently bought, and brought up the 50 text messages between her and Aaron, insinuating that they were talking about more than just buying a house. Also pointing out the history of their marital problems. They said that the voice recording that was on Aaron's phone of Beverly was not actually Beverly, but Carl Jr., he said without a doubt that was his mom. So though they tried to slander her, and well, guess what? The jury only took 1 hour to find Aaron Lewis guilty on all counts and sentence him to 2 life terms. Aaron Lewis appealed to the Arkansas Supreme Court, but his appeal was denied. Crystal Lowry was sentenced to 30 years in prison.
That's not enough.
Well, no. So the outcome brought relief to many, including Beverly's family. Despite the heartbreaking loss of Beverly, her family found strength in turning their grief into something positive. They established the Beverly Carter Foundation. They fund programs and develop training materials to enhance safety for real estate agents, ensuring that Beverly's legacy lives on. Their efforts have made a significant impact in promoting safety with the real estate industry, and they have raised a lot of money. So, I love that the family had tried to make something good come out of this. One thing I wanted to point out, you and I both caught that Crystal was not some innocent person who her husband kind of, talked her into this. So there were some text messages that they found on Crystal's phone when he had left the first time to go kill Beverly at the cement plant. There were texts like, "What's taking you so long? This is such a waste of time. Why don't you just beep," fill in the blank, her. What? Why would you imply that they are gonna? Okay. It doesn't take that long to do what you're doing. And it was just all this crazy stuff. So
yeah, she's probably like, "Why are you taking so long? I'm really hungry. I want to go to Waffle House."
Yeah, so like I said, you wouldn't send all those texts if you're just some innocent bystander in this.
No.
She was absolutely involved. So I did want to point out, though, that the crime lab, they found no traces of semen. So, that whole thing is just crazy. I hate that, they try to slander somebody's name. That's awful. But they did find that they had wrapped her face in tape 6 times. And that's most likely what caused her death, is the face being wrapped in the duct tape 6 times. So,
and duct tape stinks. That'd be a just terrible way to die.
All that for a hopeful ransom. And like I said, they were targeting her. I think they found her online. They were just looking up real estate brokers, and she probably had, I'm thinking, maybe like expensive showings. Maybe that's how they detected that she would have money. And appearances, like I said, she had the Cadillac. Maybe she had some expensive listing, and they were specifically looking for somebody who was married, so they'd have somebody that they can get money from.
But they didn't even go after the husband.
Well, I probably maybe didn't make that clear, but she didn't have any money in the bank at the time. Like she confirmed that they didn't have that money to even have for a ransom. And like I said, that's when it came into other realtors said, sometimes one week we can, sell a house and have this much in the bank, and then you might go a little bit and not have anything. So, they were doing well. Of course, she's driving nice cars. I'm sure they live in a beautiful home, but they didn't have the money in the bank. They didn't have that $100,000 ransom.
Well, they had 3 children and 5 grandchildren. They've grown a life together. You would hope they would have things.
Yeah. They lived, like I said, they were living a good life. And Susan, you need to look at Beverly Carter, because she is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. And the cosmetic surgeries that she had, that was just to make herself feel better. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, they tried a midlife crisis. Us women in our 50s, we're depressed and blah blah blah.
Who cares? Anybody who watches our drink videos, I know I need some lips.
We all need a little cosmetic surgery, and I see nothing wrong with that. That is not something that should have went against her.
Nope. If that's what you want to do, you do you, and you do what makes you feel good about you.
I agree. I wish I could get some fillers right here, Susan, but
You're fine.
Well, thank you.
But
Best friends always tell each other that.
I do need some lips.
See, I would never noticed that, Susan.
Oh, I notice it all the time.
Oh, I know I told you that story, but maybe this is what you need to use. So I think I told you this, but it's kind of funny for our listeners. So we pick up my daughter, and I'm with my husband in the car, and she brings this latte she just got from somewhere, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so good, you have to try it. So Paul takes a sip, and we're driving, and all of a sudden he says, I think I'm having a reaction to the coffee. My lips are tingling. She had a plumper lip gloss, and it was, yeah. So maybe you need some of that plumping lip gloss, Susan.
Maybe. And Paul had some plump lips for a while.
I know, so he got quiet. So
You're
yeah.
like, Paul, your lips.
Yeah, as soon as he said it, I'm like, oh gosh, I bet she had lip gloss on that cup. So yeah, I hated that. They tried to, say anything bad about her because she did absolutely nothing wrong. She was a loving mother, grandmother, beautiful lady. Had a great real estate career, and here she is just showing a house, and that she tried to do the right thing by making sure she talked to the wife, because maybe she didn't feel comfortable just showing it to a male by herself. So she did everything right. That's what they were saying. She did everything right. She talked to them both. She's had conversations with them. It wasn't just somebody who randomly called. So she had no indication that this was could go this way. And unfortunately, I've loved that they did the Beverly Foundation to help other real estate agents and maybe save somebody else from having this outcome. And, I'm sure that has to be a scary thing.
Absolutely.
Susan and I, we listen to a lot of podcasts, as I'm sure many of our listeners do, and there's just too many scary stories. And there's a lot of great people, and we hate to feel this way, but unfortunately it's life. So
it absolutely is. But it was a great story, and this is one I have not heard. Which is very exciting. So just so
viewers know, Susan and I do not share our stories ahead of time. We keep it secret, and sometimes we might give each other little clues, but no, we don't share it. So we each hear it for the first time, which I think it makes it fun.
Yeah, I like that.
But
I've known all the stories she's told, except for this one.
Oh, see, I thought this one you might.
No, not
so
at all.
I remember this one. I just, the twists and turns with him, and it's just crazy. But I do encourage everybody to look up that Beverly Carter Foundation, especially if you are a real estate agent, just to maybe, see if there's anything helpful. And also,
And be safe out there.
Yeah, and don't forget to watch the YouTube channel or our Instagram to see how we're making this drink. It's actually kind of fun one with a little floaty. I'm just going to say it has little floaty fishes. You have to watch to see what the floaty fishes are. They are edible.
Fishes. She said fishes.
What am I supposed to say?
Fish. That's a word that fish and fish.
So
Singular and plural.
So
yes, any feedback. We want to hear the feedback.
Yes, we definitely want to hear the feedback.
The good, the bad, the ugly. The ugly is what makes us grow.
I like that, Susan.
Thanks for joining us on Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we've delved into chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy will keep uncovering the truth and venturing into the unknown. Until next time, stay safe and step into the shadows with us again.